Do you realize that how we talk to our children and how we treat them plays a big part in helping build their self esteem? I'll give you an example. If you are having a situation with your child and they do something that you don't like or something that you don't think is right, how you communicate with them about how you feel about what they've done really helps determine how they feel about themselves, and it helps them to determine how they feel about the situation. If you are yelling and screaming at the top of your voice, if you're calling them names, if you're being condescending, if you're belittling them, more than likely they are going to miss the message that you were trying to get them to understand. Instead, they're going to be focusing on all the things that you've said to them that were hurtful, or how you acted toward them that was hurtful. That's going to be their only focus. They're not going to hear the message that you're trying to get across to them, that the action that they did was not appropriate. If you want to communicate with your child in a way to help them understand that what they're doing isn't right, then you have to communicate with them in a way that they can receive it. You should be loving, you should be kind, you should be respectful, you should be understanding. You should be talking to them in a way that makes them still feel good about themselves and still be able to acknowledge when they've done something wrong. It's not, we think that the best thing to do is when you're upset about something is to behave in a moment of rage, or to act out in rage. And that's so incorrect. That is incorrect on all levels. It causes our children to be withdrawn. It causes them not to share things. It causes them to internalize. It causes them to feel bad about themselves and not like who they are because of how we're talking to them or how we're treating them. Sometimes it's not even, we're not even treating them a certain kind of way because of something they've done. Maybe it's something that we see in them that we just simply don't like. Especially if you're in a situation where you may not be with that child's co-parent. You may not be with that child's co-parent anymore, and you may start to mistreat that child because of that relationship, or because you see something in that child that reminds you of the co-parent that you don't like. And so you may start to talk to them or treat them a certain kind of way because you see things in them that are familiar to you in a different kind of environment. And that is wrong to do, because that person, even though you may have an issue with that co-parent, that child is still very much a part of who that co-parent is. And if they see or they hear you say things that are against the other parent, they're going to feel like you feel that way about them as well. So you have to be careful with your conversation. You have to be careful with what you say around them. You have to be careful with what you say to them, so that you're not damaging to them. We should be encouraging to our children. We should be uplifting. We should be empowering them, even in times where they're struggling. They may come home and not have the best grades. So then we have to think of things on what we can do to help them pull their grades up. Telling them they're stupid, they're dumb, they're not going to amount to anything, they're never going to become anything, that they're just like their mother or their father. That's not effective. That's not going to help them to go into the area that they need to go into. It's not going to drive them into that direction to help them to be successful. In fact, it could do probably the opposite. They could start believing those awful things, those negative things that you're saying to them, and they'll start to believe that they can't accomplish the things that maybe other people are telling them that they can't, or things that they probably believed before that they could accomplish. They now will feel like they can't accomplish those things based on things that you've said to them, or how you've treated them. We have to be very careful with that. Our children are very fragile. They may act like they're tough, but they're very fragile. They're still very moldable. They're watching us. They a lot of times what we see in our children is what we see in ourselves, and sometimes that can frustrate us, and we won't even realize that sometimes we're really fighting with our own inner self. Things that we see that our children do sometimes can be a reflection of us. It could be a reflection of the co-parent. It could be a reflection of a relative. It could be a reflection of a friend. So many people have many different influences on our children. when our children come to their parent, when it comes to their parent should be a safe haven. Our children should be able to come to us and feel safe. They should know, okay, when I'm talking to my mom or dad, I know that they're going to help me through this situation. They're not going to talk down to me. They're not going to look down on me. They're not going to speak negatively to me. They're going to tell me when I'm wrong, and they're going to praise me when I'm right. They're going to encourage me, and in the areas where I have weaknesses, they're going to help me to make those weaknesses into strengths. They're going to help me to build those weaknesses into strengths so that they're no longer struggles for me. That is how parenting should be. It shouldn't be where our children are feeling like, man, I can't go talk to my parent about that because they're going to be talking about me. They're going to be calling me names. They're going to make me feel bad. They are going to come down hard on me. We have to be careful with that. Sometimes we'll say, oh, well, that's how my mom and dad did it, and I came out just fine. Well, maybe you didn't come out just fine. Maybe you were still struggling with some of those same issues that you had from growing up. And there is nothing wrong with changing your parenting style from what you recognize really wasn't the best thing when you were growing up. I mean, honestly, as parents, there is no manual. We do what we believe we should do in the timing that things are happening. And a lot of times we'll walk away and we'll say, you know what? I shouldn't have did that. That was a wrong decision. Next time I won't do that. Or if you have multiple children, you will often find that with the first child, you may have made decisions. You get to the second, the third, the fourth child, and your decisions are very different. I know for me, being a mother of 6, I have gone through that where I have looked at decisions that I made with my oldest, and I won't make those same decisions with my second daughter, my third daughter, my fourth daughter, my sons. I won't do it because I recognize some of the decisions that I made were not the best. And so there's nothing wrong with changing your parenting style over time as you see that, okay, what I did didn't work. What can I do differently? How can I help build my child up so that my child can be the best possible human that he can possibly be, where he can contribute to himself and to society, to others, and to help build a great solid foundation in him? What can I do differently? There's so many resources out there on parenting. There's books, there's YouTube, there's life coaches, there's therapists. There's so many ways out there that we can be educated and be informed. We should never be able to use the excuse that I didn't know. There's too much information out there. If you look at your child and you see that your child is hurting, you see that your child has a low self-esteem, you might want to look within yourself and see, what have I done to help contribute to that? Have I been loving and kind in moments that might have been challenging for us? Have I been encouraging? Have I said things that would make them feel good about themselves? And if I have not, let me start today. Let me start today with building them up, saying things that are going to help drive them into the man or woman that they will be someday, so that they can be a positive contribution to the society, to themselves, to their own families. Because cycles repeat themselves. We can break the cycles of our past. We can help our children to break cycles. And the only way to help them do that is to empower them with positive things, positive conversation, taking the time to get to know them. Sometimes we'll think that our money is sufficient enough. So we'll put them in all types of sports, all types of activities. We'll buy them whatever it is they ask for. That is not contributing to our children in a positive manner. When it's all said and done, it's not going to be our money that they remember. It's going to be what we invested in them. Did we invest love? Did we invest time? Did we invest wisdom, knowledge in them? What did we invest in them to help them to become the men and women that they are designed to be, that they are created to be? We have to ask that question of ourselves. And if we don't know the answer to that, then we probably need to do some searching within ourselves and say, what can I do to be a better parent? There's always room for improvement. We will never arrive. We will always find that there's something better that we can do. So why not start today? Become a better parent. Work hard to build your children up. They're relying on us and they're waiting on us.